Hi everybody, it's Christina. Welcome to my craft room. Hopefully in this room we're going to make some really pretty cards that you'll be proud of. And what we're going to use are the thing that I am addicted to, which is spellbinders. And I'm sure many of you suffer the same addiction as I do. So as we go through the classes, we will be able to create cards and boxes like these, all different designs with the spellbinders that you have. Now your spellbinders will come in many different patterns and shapes and sizes, and most of them will go through a smaller machine. I use the Big Shot on a regular basis, but if you want to use the larger dies, they obviously won't fit through that cutting area, so for that you're going to need the grand caliber or any die cutting machine with an A4 cutting platform. Now before you start to make your card, you need to decide on the papers and the card that you're going to use. Choose your colour scheme, and this is Coordinations card, and there's some very pretty colours in there. But for my card I've chosen a pale, a medium and a dark lilac, and I'm going to combine it with the white, and that will be the basis for the cards that I'm going to make. Now this is your grand caliber, and when you get your machine it will have nice clean shiny plates, but after you've used the white cutting plate for a little while it will start to look like this. And that's perfectly normal. Now to use your die cutting machine, make sure it's seated on your worktop, and this lever at the bottom secures it to your top. So make sure that you turn it completely so that it's tight, and that now is your caliber secure to the top and won't rock about when you use it. Now these dies do lots of different things, and when I first started to buy spellbinders I used to just buy any sort that I liked because I simply liked the shape. But now I'm a little bit more discerning with what I buy. So if I'm buying a motifs set, I like to buy the accents set that go with it, and that gives you a lot more choices with those dies. And if I buy a labels die, then I like to buy the decorative one that goes with it, and that way I can mat and layer up my shapes and create another effect. So this is labels 1, this is grand labels 1, and this is decorative grand labels 1. So for today's card I'm going to use Asian accents and Asian motifs, and using the two sets together will give you a really pretty mix for your cards. Now when you start to build a card, if you just leave your background plain, it's a little bit boring. So we're going to use embossing folders on the base just to create some interest in that card. Now you can use any embossing folders that you have in your collection, but these are the ones that I have. These are Embossabilities from Spellbinders, and they're in 3 different sizes. These two will go through the smaller machines, but the grand ones need to go through the larger cutting area. And the beauty of these is that they are double-sided. So if you look, you have one pattern on this side, so when that is closed that will emboss your card, but if you turn it over you have a completely different pattern on the other side, so by closing that, that will give you another pattern to your cards. So let's get started and make the first card. I have 2 matching pieces of white card, and all I've done with one is fold it in half. Now when you fold it with a scoreboard you will get an uneven edge on the back. Please don't cut that off. That is called the leading edge, And all that means is that your recipient can open the card a lot easier than you could if that was flush. So it's there for a purpose. Now from the second piece of card, I have cut myself a layer that is just slightly smaller than my base. From my chosen colours, I have cut myself another mat that again is just slightly smaller than that base that I've just added. And then I have cut myself another piece which I have embossed, and that is going to mat and layer on top of the purple. So all I'm doing is laying it on and just making a small mark, and then once that's cut, that will just sit on that purple layer, leaving a nice small border. Now once you've cut your embossed layer and you've got the small border, it's the 3 base layers that you've just made that we're going to work on, and they will be matted and layered together. So you can move your base card out of the way for now, and this is the area that we're going to work on. Now we have these matted and layered, so from the Asian accents I'm taking the border die and I'm going to lay it onto the colour that I wish to use with the cutting edge facing downwards, and I'm going to cut that out twice so that I have 2 matching strips. I've also cut myself another length of white card, and then just along this outside edge I'm going to add some glue. And I'm just going to pop that on the card and line it up so there's no white showing. And I'm going to do exactly the same with the other one, but I'm going to make sure that the shapes, the loops, are married up. Now once that's glued, this edge is free on both of them. So what I've done is I've taken some thin ribbon and I have plaited it through the open edges to give me that effect. So once this strip is dry, you're going to make sure that it fits the front of your card. So just make a little mark on it and trim it off so that it's straight. And then make sure that you have enough ribbon to be able to plait that, and you're going to start with the loops that are on the inside of the card. So this is just a thin ribbon, it's a thin organza ribbon, and I'm just going to plait this all the way through the loops and make sure it's straight as I go down. So this one now will come into the second loop on the opposite side, and that's how you will complete that plait all the way down as you go along until you have that effect. And then at the bottom end you can just tie it into a bow and turn it around, and the bow can go at the top, and that's going to be added to the front of that card wherever you would like it. Now from the motif set, I've taken the square die, I've cut myself a piece of card that fits the die, and this is linen effect card, so this is the linen effect side, and I'm putting the die face down onto the card. Now some of the dies are very intricate, and the more dies that Spellbinder bring out, the more intricate they get, but there are several options you can use to stop your card from sticking in that die. You can use a piece of wax paper and put the cutting edge down onto the card so the paper's between your card and the die, or you can dust over your die with some talcum powder, or another thing you can do is use a tumble dryer sheet, and all you're going to do is just rub over that die with the tumble dryer sheet and then add it to your card, and that really makes your cards smell nice. So this is the white base plate with the card, the die facing down, the grey plate on top, and I'm just going to die cut that through the grand caliber. Now once you've die cut that piece of card, have a look at what's happened and make sure that it's cut completely through, which it has. So then you're going to lay it on your grey mat, put the tan embossing mat on top and the pink plate on top of that, and run that through the die cutting machine. Now once that's been through the machine again, you can see the effect of the embossing on that card. That will come out of the die quite easy now because it's been rubbed over with the sheet. These will just pop out, but you can see the pattern that is in that card once it's been embossed. So we've pushed all the little bits out of the card, but this die needs to be cleaned before it can be used again, or it won't cut properly. And because we've gone over it with the tumble dryer sheet, all you need to do is give it a smart wrap on the wrong side of the die, and all those will just come out. So I'm going to add this to the front of the card with foam pads. So I'm putting one in each corner and one in the centre. And that's going to sit on the front of the card. I'm going to add it at an angle. Now from the Asian accents set, I've cut myself a circular shape, and with foam pads I'm just going to add that to the card, and all I've done is stamped and embossed a sentiment on there, and then I've cut some little pieces of diamante bling, and I'm just going to add that to the card along there. So we're just going to peel that off the backing, and don't be afraid to cut your bling up, and I'm going to line it up with the piece at the bottom, and that's just added to the card. And once I've done that, that is all ready now to be added to my base card. And that is then ready for an insert for you to give. And then just to finish it off, I'm just adding a little piece of self-adhesive diamante to the knot in the bow, just to tidy that up.